And the polls consistently show that like the more liberal somebody is, the more
What are your thoughts on Google saying that Biden admin pressured them to remove content about the 2020 election stuff? Oh, that's not even close to like what the fuck like the fucking Kimmel thing is doing right now. The whole removing misinformation or trying to pressure shit to remove misinformation that would like fucking uh like disenfranchise voters from voting again, and having like trust in our democracy is integral to having good and fair elections. Like even if you feel like that is hairy, it is nowhere as crazy as like Trump's feelings being hurt and then asking for Kimmel and targeting Kimmel specifically. Like it's not even close. Like having our democracy intact is not like the same as like Trump's feelings being hurt. I'm sorry, okay? In fact, if anything, Trump's feelings being hurt is an important part of the First Amendment. Okay, so yeah. Also, by pressure, I don't even think you're like accurate about that. I don't even know like how much. Like even when I'm just thinking about it, like it wasn't. I don't think it was like. There's no way it's like FCC like threatening shit, right? I don't think so.
likely they
I
are to
don't know.
support political
Was it?
violence, and that Democrats consistently, even following the Minnesota lawmakers that were
Even
shot,
if you're against
like
it,
there
I'm
was
just
a
saying.
poll done
Okay, you
immediately
shouldn't
following
have
that,
double
and even on
standard.
that poll, Democrats were more likely to support political violence. And so my question is, if there's so
What
much like
poll?
actual violence coming from Trump, right, the
Where?
president
Pew
and the
Research?
political right, why is it the case that Democrats are so much more like when polled, Democrats are so much more favorable to political violence than conservatives?
Is this even fucking true? Also, not only that, by the way, that poll sounds retarded. Okay, who is more in favor? The reason why this is retarded because, like, don't you think that people are gonna answer really dishonestly? Just simply because, like, people are afraid of like being Fed posted or Fed baited or something. I don't know. Americans largely agree political violence never justified. New poll shows that warranted. Oh my god. Violence can be warranted in order to achieve political goals. In the YouGov survey conducted in the immediate aftermath of the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk, the immediate aftermath. The September 10th poll shows more liberal respondents were, the more likely they were to say violence can sometimes be justified. A quarter of the respondents who identified as very liberal said violence can sometimes be justified to achieve political goals, along with 17% of those who identified as liberal, 9% of moderates, 6% who said they're conservative, and 3% of those who identified as very conservative. If you're gonna say, right, like if you're gonna say the immediate aftermath, right? Like obviously things are tense. People are naturally going to be very biased in the immediate aftermath of a fucking shooting. That's crazy. Not only that, said violence can sometimes be justified. Like, what do you think people mean when they say sometimes? And what do you think people mean when they say violence? Because to a normie, violence can mean the Stonewall riots, right? The fucking Stonewall gay riots is like the violence in their eyes, right? That's what violence means, so called, right? It's a very ambiguous term, right? It's better to give an example. But yeah,
So here's the thing about
like what does that
polling,
even
right? In
mean? It
general,
means
and
nothing.
I know that you're a smart guy, Lactoid, so I know that you should know this, right? That the
Well, he's a dishonest and smart guy. But yeah, he's smart and he's dishonest. Okay.
results of a poll, right, can only tell you as much as the how well the crafted the questions are, right? Like for example, I could see a world in which this questionnaire had questions like, is like
Can you link it
political violence,
so I can read it? Sorry, I
political
want to see how
violence
it was
is
worded.
like not okay.
Gibbs said he
Yeah, but
linked it.
No, can I? Oh, he did link it. Okay, sorry.
Why would they trying to fed in your Discord? Just so you know, Trey, there's no evidence. Like, there's no like hardcore evidence for it. Okay, like I don't think I don't think I saw any screenshots. People didn't really take screenshots. I would encourage people to take screenshots next time, but I just heard it from multiple people that he was doing that. Okay, but apparently it didn't work because he's a fucking retard. Okay, but yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Keep going.
No. What I'm saying here.
Also, I have the best fucking community on planet Earth. Okay, so sucks to suck. Okay.
Is like, and I'll go into this because I didn't have time to read it. You saw, but like they could have like one question that says, do you approve of political violence now? And then there could be another question, right, that says, are there any circumstances in which political violence would be okay, right? And maybe not specifying a particular instance or something like that.
I can read the question.
That's fine. Yeah, the questions would be, the questions that were actually answered by the people taking the survey,
Yeah. So the question here that was asked is, do you think it is ever justified for citizens to resort to violence in order to achieve political goals? Only 11% of all U.S. adults said yes, 72% said no. But when you break it down by political ideology, it's directly correlated with how liberal they are. So the very liberal, 25% of them say yes, 55% say no. And then when you get to very conservative, only
Yeah, exactly. If you approve of civil war, right, in order to free the slaves, you would be for political violence. Right? What the fuck does political violence even mean? Protesting? Civil disobedience? Assassinations? Without any kind of specifications, it really doesn't really tell us anything, right? You would have to, I would have to know the methodology, how the poll is conducted, and in addition, even then, even if you were to give a really accurate poll, it's not necessarily entirely indicative, right? Indicative, entirely, right? You have to take every poll with a grain of salt.
only 5% say yes and 88% say no. And this is true even controlling for age. So like younger conservatives are less okay with violence than older liberals.
So here's exactly why I brought that little preamble up there, because that question doesn't actually ask the question that's trying to get at the conclusion that you want to get at, right? Because it's asking, is it ever justified, right? And I could make a couple of arguments of political violence, right? Like sweeping waves of political violence in America that were justified, and you would agree with that, and any red-blooded American would agree with that, right? That would be like the Revolution, the Civil War, right? So like these are circumstances in which political violence would be okay, right? That question there is asking, do these circumstances exist? That's not saying anything about whether or not they think that it is appropriate in the current day, or what even they mean by political violence, right? That's one of the things that on this panel we kind of danced around but didn't really get to dig into, is when we talk about political violence, what do we mean by political violence, right? So all of these very vague, very intuition-based conclusions that you're drawing from how people answer this question don't really, the question isn't broad enough to encompass all of this information.
So the question is, a citizen using violence to achieve political goals. If you're saying that, are you? I guess, are you saying that the reason why liberals and conservatives are answering so consistently different on this is because conservatives just aren't considering
so consistently different on one
justified
poll?
uses of violence?
Dude.
Because again, this poll was also done following the
Binjiling. New poll. 57.11% of Americans approve of Donald Trump. From where? Oh, Rasmussen reports? Okay, dude. Very nice.
Minnesota state lawmaker shooting.
Yeah, Rasmussen.
And even on that poll, Republicans were less okay with violence. So are they just Republicans just not considering the right kinds of violence?
Well,
why
here,
are conservatives
just real quick,
Lactoid,
hold on. Lactoid.
I'm sorry, quick.
Mm-hmm.
Lactoid.
Yeah, go ahead.
You think that on occasion, political violence is justified?
The way the question is worded when it says, is it ever
that's
justified
a yes,
for a citizen?
Sometimes can sometimes be justified.
Oh my god, just say you approve of slavery. Jesus Christ.
So the way the question is worded, I'd answer no, because the question is asking if a citizen should use violence. Now, if we're going to get into the minutia of are cops violent, is arrest violent?
No. You would. I think that I could craft a scenario for you where you think it would be okay or acceptable for a citizen to use political violence to achieve an end in certain circumstances?
January 6th.
No, I don't think he'd say January 6th.
Yes, because I was opposed to January 6th, like literally when it was happening.
I would be for January 6th if the election was actually being stolen from the American people.
No, I mean, but this is just true. Like, there are circumstances
True.
in
Okay,
which...
so why do conservatives then, if like this very like easy kind of response, why do conservatives not buy that? Why are they overwhelmingly
Well,
voting
no. Lactoid, wait, if you don't mind. What's happening here, right, is it could very well be that this is a difference in what you consider to be violence. Like, for example, I would argue that more people on the right, when they hear the word violence, they tend to think of things that are...
What you eating? Chips? Clams?
Like more physical stuff, like assassinations or like violent threats, intimidations, crackdowns, stuff like that, right? Whereas somebody on the left might be willing to consider like protesting, right, to be a form of political violence. So when somebody says, "Is there a circumstance?"
No. This is what we mean. What I mean. If there was a man who became president and said, "I'm president, I'm going to jail the Supreme Court justices. I'm going to jail my political opponents, not just the ones who are like Clinton or whatever, but all the people who supported them. I'm going to start to execute anyone I feel is a traitor to my regime without due process." In those circumstances, it would be acceptable for a citizen to get a gun and do what needs done. We are not near that in America. We're not even close, but I think we could all agree under certain circumstances, you should pick up a gun and do what needs doing.
Why don't conservatives agree then?
Because conservatives don't. I mean,
like on this
I
poll.
don't know why they're answering the question wrong. I can't give you that. I can only guess. But
you would also
there are
say that
always
55...
because you hold on, Lactoid. Do you disagree with what I just said?
So again, I don't.
Can I get a yes or no?
So hold on. I don't disagree with. I don't disagree. So if you read the question,
you also
if you read
would
the
answer
question
yes to that question.
Yes, if you read the question this way, where it's like, well, because under your position, the 55% of very liberals.
Dustin didn't rate us. He went to bed right after he couldn't dodge a boss battle. Maybe he wants to fix his sleep schedule. I don't fucking know. Jesus, it's fine.
Who said no? You would say that they're wrong.
Yeah, they're also wrong. I don't know why they're all wrong, but they are.
You would say 100%. You would say 100% of everybody here should be voting yes. But and I agree that like if you want to like very kind of like I want to say the word autistically, but I'm going to say Tylenol. Very Tylenol-y, like examine the wording of the question, right? Yeah. You could probably come out with like an interpretation which you must answer yes. That's fair. But I think it's telling that conservatives, like the intuition that conservatives have pretty consistently is to say no on questions that are asking about political violence. Their gut reaction is, no, it's probably not okay to do political violence. I agree. Most of these conservatives, if you really dug down, like, yeah, what about Hitler? Most of them are probably going to say yes. But like when polled by YouGov, this is a very reputable poller, conservatives are much more likely to oppose political violence than liberals, and the same poll, hold on.
It's not opposing political violence. Right. It's asking, is there ever a situation, right? Because
where it's justified.
Yeah.
Wait, read this.
Is there ever a situation where political violence is sometimes justified? Like it's such a nuanced, like fucking, not a nuanced question. It's a fucking broad. It's a very broad question. Okay.
Justified, and that's just yes.
Also, Hunter, thank you so much for the tier 2. Okay, I appreciate that.
That's the answer is just yes. It's just yes.
Do you think it is ever justified for citizens to resort to violence in order to achieve
Wick, I get where you're going with this. Wick, I get where you're going with this, and I 100% agree with you here, right? But like, to Lactoid's credit here, like I think the distinction here isn't like, are these people wrong because they have a lack of imagination, right? I think fundamentally it comes down to what these different groups of people might consider to be political violence. Because what I didn't notice in that question was any definition of what violence is supposed to mean in this context. So whatever it means to the person answering the question is whatever they read it to mean.
Right, just like any other poll.
Why do people always suck at this like polling shit. Like, why can't you just like do more specific polls? Like, Jesus, it's not hard. I feel like, but yeah.
Just like any other poll, right? That's what I mean.
Yeah, right. Like for example, the right would likely think of police as something that is not violence, right? Like the right would probably think of the military as something that is not violent, right? But they would always they would justify like using the military or using the police to enact their will, right?
When I say this question isn't broad enough to draw the conclusions that you're trying to read from it.
So the same poll also asks a different question, which shows an almost identical kind of linear difference between how liberals and conservatives celebrate the deaths of their political opponents. So conservatives consistently say, like, the question is, do you generally consider it to be acceptable or unacceptable for a person to be happy? It's Gibbs already linked it.
It's linked.
No,
it's
linked.
in the same.
Where?
It's in the same.
Did
I literally just saw a picture. I literally just saw a picture. Oh, okay, there's a link above it.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for just wanting to make sure that we had the link. Oh, what do you think that means?
Calm down.
Okay, well, okay. I said that Gibbs presented the link. Somebody said that he did, so I thought that, okay.
I just saw the picture.
So,
I apologize.
Okay, I'm not jumping your shit. Good, that's good.
Okay.
All right. So the second graph here, the question is, do you generally consider it to be acceptable or unacceptable for a person to be happy about the death of a public figure they oppose? And you see similar results where conservatives very consistently and overwhelmingly say no. And although most Democrats, most liberals also say no, there's still a considerably larger portion that say yes. And so when you look at both of these questions together, right, this gives us a little bit more insight, I think, as to what people have in mind when they're thinking about political violence. Why is it that Democrats are so much more okay with celebrating death?
Wait.
Why are Republicans so like celebratory of death? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Tell us why, Lactoid.
Which one is? Wait.
That's my question.
I don't know.
When they do phone polls, you would get clarification on the questions. Dude, phone polls are so stupid. Dude, I'm sorry, but polls are retarded, okay? Like, so many polls are just, like, straight up retarded shit. I wouldn't take a lot of them seriously, really.
Know the answer to the question.
Well, I think this is...
I'm trying to know. There's a million different polls that are in here. Which is the one exactly that you're referring to?
So you scroll down. It's past the first graph, the second graph, the third graph. It's the fourth graph.
What was the question again? Can you just read me the question again?
Yep, it has it on the graph. It says, do you generally consider it to be acceptable or unacceptable for a person to be happy about the death of a public figure they oppose? Once again, on this question, specifically referencing death, you see a very almost identical difference in opinion between conservatives and liberals, where liberals are like much more likely to be okay with death and to celebrate death than conservatives.
But that's not the fucking question, dude. The question was, do you celebrate death? Yes or no? Like, the question wasn't that, right? Like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Like, wasn't the question like, oh, do you think it could be justified? How could you garner that from, like, the question? The question was about... The question was about, like, fucking, it was about whether or not, like, sometimes political violence is justified, right? It's not about, like, celebration of death. Like, what the fuck?
And I'm just saying what the polls are showing. This is YouGov. Again, YouGov, very reputable. And the fact that this mirrors the prior question that I asked, like, about political violence. I mean, it does. If you look at very liberal, it's 24% compared to 25%. If you look at liberal...
what I don't see, Lactoid, is, okay, so let's assume that they're correlated, right? Let's assume that they, the fact that they're similar answers means the similar thing. What is it that you're trying to say it means?
So, well, the first thing I think it's more of I'm using this a little bit more of a shield. Again, when people say, well, the Republicans and especially Trump and these other people they're like, look at the Nancy Pelosi thing, look at these sort of violent rhetoric, you know, this is kind of what a lot of the panel was. I watched most of it. A lot of the panel was just like people throwing anecdotal examples at one another, saying like, oh, this is an example of Trump doing something mean. This is an example of the left doing something.
Yeah, but this is a horrible poll. Like this is like, like this is like the worst fucking poll you could have pulled out of your fucking ass. You're like, oh, I mean, everyone brings up anecdotes. Everyone brings up anecdotes. What, dude? Bro, you brought a pencil to a fucking sword fight. Like this isn't helping. Like what
I
the
mean,
fuck?
etc. What I'm interested in is like if one
Okay, I've had enough of his yapping. Let's have it. Where's it? Oh, there he is. Hello, Zip. All right.
But
Come on.
Trump and Miller and Tim Pool and Matt Walsh and Steven Crowder and that group have not. They've been very ghoulish about this. And to be clear, the left, the far left, to be clear, not the liberals, but the far left have as well to an extent. But I am more concerned when the people who are currently leading the free world have these certain behaviors and certain tendencies than I am about rando TikTokers.
And I just want to point out,
Right. So I wanted to
before this
bring.
other person, I guess, addresses me,
Yeah.
even on the YouGov poll, even the moderate liberals were more okay with celebrating death, or celebrating a political figure's death, and more okay.
Dude, why is he still bringing this up? Is he retarded? What the fuck? Is he retarded? What? Why is he still bringing this up? What the fuck? Bro. Such a fucking retarded point. Jesus.
Than the very conservatives. Just, I think that's important to point
Can
out.
I jump in
hello,
here?
Chico.
Go ahead.
No, real quick.
No,
Just real
hold
quick
on.
here. To
Let
Wick's
Test
point.
Guy. Let Test Guy go. I want to hear Test.
Okay.
I have the
sorry.
feeling that looking at polls is very stupid. I'm sorry to say that, but
Wait, who the fuck
like,
is... Wait, why does this look familiar? Wait, who is this person? This person looks familiar.
we have crime statistics. I don't know why we look at
Sorry, not funny.
at polls when it comes to who accepts more violence. Like, we see in the elections, it's
Sorry.
basically 50-50 split on Republicans and Democrats, and then
I'm sorry.
there's
I don't mean to interrupt. J-Mac in YouTube chat.
Why do crimes... I'm sorry. I'm so fucking brain rotted when it comes to this shit.
Come on Discord and say that to my face, okay? You're in my chat, and I'll let you. I'm a free speech advocate. I actually believe in the Constitution, unlike you. And I'm more than willing to let you come on and make shit up about me. You're more than able to do that. But if you are trying to suggest that I'm sweeping for political violence, you, sir, are a liar. In no uncertain terms, you are a liar.
I don't think you're sweeping for political
and you
violence.
are you have an agenda that is not honest, and I do wonder why it is you're trying to push this false narrative about me. Like, what is your purpose here? Like, what are you trying to do? But J-Mac, you're more than willing to jump in the Discord. Come on, I will hear you out.
Dude, who is this J-Mac?
But if you're gonna make shit up about me, I mean, you can, but I'll just make shit up about you, and you won't like how that...
Wick is sweeping again. He's a Jones. Dude, he barely said anything, dude. Wick, dude, this J-Mac person barely said anything. Come on. Who cares? Oh,
that turns out.
I'm not...
Look at actually more violent split or Republican themselves are somewhat okay with committing that crime. And if the overall number of one side is bigger than the other, it's basically clear that one side supports crime more than the other.
So
okay,
this is...
just real quick before you
Okay.
respond, if you guys want
Sure.
me to keep this going, you need to pay me money. So give me money or I'm going to end it soon because I'm...
Wow.
But anyway,
Apparently-
go ahead. Answer your lactoid, and then I want to open it
Okay.
up to everyone else.
So this will be kind of my last response, unless I say something that really riles some feathers.
YouGov poll. Political violence and extremism. Do you think that protesters at political rallies deserve to be roughed up? 9%. Gender, male, roughed. What do you mean roughed up? Like fucking beaten up, or? Oh. Hey. 9%, 12%, 6%. So 12% male, 6% female deserve to be roughed up? Like, what do you mean by rough? Okay. Wick is weird as fuck. What do you say? Age 18 to 29, 10%, 10%, 8%, 10%. Do not deserve to be roughed up. 70%, 68%, 71%. Deserve to get roughed up. 9%. 6%. Oh, wait, what the fuck? So 17% of Republicans believe that if you're a protester at political rally, you deserve to be roughed up, as opposed to the 6% of Democrats. So 17% to 6%. Do not deserve to be roughed up. So 81% of Democrats believe that you shouldn't be roughed up. Only a measly 60% of Republicans believe that you do not deserve to be roughed up. That's pretty rough, dude. Jesus. Okay, cool. Maybe someone can bring that up. Who knows?
So, the first thing is, YouGov is a reputed pollster. I think the polls here are useful in terms of getting a kind of broad idea of what the people in these demographics think. The people that actually commit political violence, or really violence generally, like if we're talking about violence in these kind of terms, is a pretty small percentage overall. The question is like, what do people generally believe in terms of like violence being okay? In terms of like the actual crime commission rates, this is like a really long conversation we don't have time to have.
Say it.
But my accusation is that this is being sort of misrepresented in two ways. The first way is that right-wing violence is including like Nazis. Like if you pull out like ethno-nationalist Nazis, like anti-Semitic attacks, for example, which is wholeheartedly condemned by the mainstream Republican Party, especially when it comes to like anti-Semitism, for example. Right? This Republican Party.
Wait, no, it's not. Trump had Nick Fuentes in the White House.
Wait, what, dude? We're gonna exclude the Nazis who make up like who make up all the rhetoric on the Republican Party side. Like Stephen Miller might as well be a Nazi, okay? He's worse than a Nazi, to be honest, right? Trump might as well be a Nazi, right? A lot of these people might as well be Nazis, right? So the thing is that like we can't just exclude Nazis. You're excluding the entire Republican Party. That's like every fucking GOP senator. Jesus.
This Trump, a lot of the white nationalists hate Trump because of how friendly he is towards Israel.
Lots of them love him.
And the actual like political rhetoric coming from the current Republican.
I don't mean Nazi literally. I mean like fucking rhetoric wise is very Hitler-esque.
Party is not one of like anti-Semitism. So when you remove that and you just like look at right-wing violence that's not related to like this sort of specifically like actual Nazis, it's a drop in the bucket. Like almost all of it comes from these sort of Atomwaffen, like right-wing white nationalist terrorists. But and the other thing that I think is obfuscating the data is that they don't include a bunch of left-wing violence that I like. For example, a lot of the same tables that you'll see.
Love is cope? No, Lactoid is not coping. He's just being dishonest. Like, Lactoid is not a dumb person, right? Like, isn't Lactoid a lawyer? Isn't Lactoid a lawyer? He's just being a lawyer, okay?
That make these claims as to most of the violence coming from the right wing, they won't have anything for BLM. They won't have anything from 2020 to 2021, despite the fact that like there were over 24 people died, over $2 billion worth of property damage. I know we don't care about that here or whatever, but and it also doesn't count like a lot of the violence that came after those movements as well. So I've done like some like this is like a much longer conversation. I can justify all the data points that I'm pointing to. I think that really the two kind of most dangerous groups in America right now, just from like a violence perspective, are going to be like neo-Nazis and sort of like progressive lefties. I think those are like the two most dangerous groups right now.
Thanks for coming.
Wait, not leftists?
So like in these,
I don't think everybody involved in BLM was like a hardcore leftist.
After each one of these polls, YouGov provides a little excerpt explaining a little bit in more detail, like a little bit more context. So, for example, the very first poll was most Americans say political violence is a very big problem or somewhat of a big problem. YouGov says that they've asked the question multiple times since 2022 and found some notable changes in opinion. For one thing, while Republicans are more likely and blah, 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 it says at the end, how concerned Americans are about political violence is related to some degree to whether someone from their side or from the other side is the most recent
Yes.
to be attacked. So a lot of
Correct.
this has to do with the current or with what's
No,
going on in.
it's a different
No?
question. No, the thing you just
Wait,
said was a
can
different
I read
question.
you a
But
Matt
you
Walsh
don't
tweet?
think that that's
Can
going
I
to
read?
be?
Hold on.
You don't think
I'll
that that's
explain.
going to apply all over the board? I can continue
No,
to
no,
read
no, no,
all of
no,
these
no,
too.
no, no. It doesn't. So that link actually has a separate link to a similar YouGov poll done.
Oh, so the link that was
Hold on.
posted by Gibbs that you told me to click?
Yes, the link that was posted by Gibbs that I told you to click, that has another link in it that links to a
No.
prior YouGov poll. Again,
No.
immediately
I'm
following.
on the link that was posted.
Can I finish? Can I finish a sentence, please? There's a link in the link that links to a prior YouGov poll that specifically that was done immediately following the deaths of Melissa Hortman. And I apologize. The other
That's
person
in this
that was
list.
killed.
I'm looking at it right now. Yep.
Please let me finish. Please let me finish. And even in that poll, Democrats were answered again. They were more likely to support political violence than Republicans were.
I
agree with you. I agree with you.
That means nothing.
That I agree with you that on the specific question of how big of a problem is political violence, that question does seem to shift pretty dramatically depending on who most recently got attacked.
Saying Democrats support
Same thing
political
for the one
violence
that you
means
mentioned.
nothing. Because we already went over the question. In the question, is it ever justified? Everybody would agree, if you use your brain, that yes, it would be justified in some scenario that we can imagine that it would be justified. Doesn't mean it's currently justified. Doesn't mean you justify a particular kind of political violence. But you will ignore that and you will keep repeating it over and over because because you're just being dishonest. But that's
no.
okay.
I'm going to ignore it because 55.
Yes, true. Okay. I think it's important to call Lactoid out on his dishonesty. He's being dishonest. He's not just being dumb, right? He's not he's playing stupid, right? He probably saw a number. Here's what I predict happened, okay? What I predict happened is that Lactoid probably was Google searching polls on who is more supportive of political violence. He probably skipped over the poll that said that Republicans are support roughing up people at political rallies, right? So he probably skipped over that poll because it wasn't favorable to him. So instead, he cherry picks like the few polls that are actually supporting him, right? Or looks like it supports him. Oh, but then hold on, wait a second. The question, what does the question say? Well, does it sometimes support violence? Or is it sometimes justified to support violence? Or sometimes is it not justified to support violence, right? Somehow, by the way, the correct answer is yes, okay? There is a correct answer to that poll, okay? There is actually a correct answer to that poll, period, okay? The answer is yes, okay? That's the correct answer, okay? So according to the poll, Democrats are more likely to select the right answer to the poll than Republicans. I mean, that just tells me Republicans are fucking retarded, right? Because the thing is that if you think for 2 seconds about the state of the country or the way that the country meant to be, is the Revolutionary War not a form of political violence? Don't you think that maybe without the Revolutionary War, we didn't even have a country in the first place? Don't you think that without a civil war, we would still have slavery? Even if you're in support of slavery, don't you think that is justified in terms of the Revolutionary War? Additionally, don't you think that maybe it is police and military does count as violence in the Middle East? What do you think is violence here, right? Does violence imply self-defense? Does it not imply self-defense? So the thing is that any truthful person would say, oh, this poll doesn't tell me anything, right? It doesn't confirm nor deny any kind of conclusion or hypothesis that I have placed in my head, right? However, people like Lactoid, because he's a dishonest hack actor, okay, and he's like a propagandist for Russia, and he's a propagandist for the Republicans, and he's trying to do gay ops in my fucking Discord server, I guess, right? This actual dishonest hack, okay, is trying to interpret a very, very vague and broad question and narrow it down into something specific so then he is able to levy it at Democrats. What did he glean from this question? Well, let's see. Oh, they celebrate death. Really? So you're saying that a poll that says, "Oh, do you sometimes support violence when it's like maybe necessary or something like that?" Right? Oh, they support death. Oh, okay. Are you willing to concede then? Then there is still a proportion of Republicans as well that is willing to celebrate death. You can't have one or the other. So the Democrats celebrate death, but the Republicans do not. It sounds like a both sides issue, right? Because they both have the numbers there. So like the thing is that you can just pick one or the other if you have to interpret it that way. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah. Why are you never invited to panels? Why do you try to backseat drive them? Because they fucking suck. Because panel shows fucking suck. I hate being on panels. I never want to be on a panel ever fucking again, okay? Every single time I'm on a fucking panel, I feel like I am ready to Kermit Roblox in Minecraft, okay? I would rather watch hentai and Goon for the entire 3 hours that a panel goes on than to sit there, not being able to interact with my chat in a meaningful way, not being able to talk to you guys, not being able to ADHD like fucking Google search based off of what chat says, not do any like sudden random video reactions or anything like that. Dude, fuck me, dude. I literally fall asleep on panels before, okay, because they're so fucking boring. There's absolutely no shot I would ever, okay. Didn't mean to trigger you. No, you're fine. Okay, thank you.
5% of far liberals.
Unless it's a call-in and it just happens to be in that moment where I feel motivated enough to do it. Okay, like as in like I call in last minute, right? But yeah.
Also said no, and 88% of very conservative said no.
But
because
again, because conservatives are more likely to not think violence is violence, and so they will lie.
If you're testing like somebody, like the limits of somebody's imagination in terms of like, well, what about Hitler?
Conservatives are retarded, so they can't imagine.
Sure. Well, what about Hitler? I agree that like if you this was a test on like political imagination, like you'd probably get 100% yes from everybody. But I think what this question actually belies, especially when in conjunction with the other question about being happy about death,
you're reading their minds.
This question, I think, belies.
Yeah. He's reading their minds there. Yeah, he knows why they answered it the way they did.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to talk about
that people
you
have.
referenced the Melissa
You
Horman
babied
poll,
out when you got interrupted.
I'm going to read the little
You babied out. You babied out. You babied out. You babied out.
I'm still talking.
I was talking. You just cut me off.
I don't care.
No, wait. You just cut me off, and then you're going to say I'm still talking.
You're going to just keep talking over and over and over again and say the same bullshit. So I'm going to have to respond to
the power coming in. Coming in.
Okay. Hold on.
Or you could revamp Food for Thought. No thanks. So you can take over both Wix subs and his category. No, it wouldn't work. Trust me. I have done the panel hosting thing before. It's cancer. Like, trying to get everybody to show up for one fucking measly panel is a fucking pain in the neck, okay? Like, trying to DM every single fucking content creator to get onto a panel is cancer, okay? They are the flakiest, most undedicated, okay? Most uncommitted, rudest, okay? Motherfuckers, okay? I ever had the displeasure of dealing with, okay? No thank you, okay? I would rather not, all right? Yeah, I think I'm good. Yeah, Peach just girl bossed him. To be fair, okay, Peach is acting a little bit too schizo during this entire panel. I'm just being honest here, okay? I do think that she is a little bit too energetic and a little bit too eager to fight and stuff. It would have been better, in my opinion, if she ramped up her rhetoric, because she has the correct opinion, she has the correct points, right? But she needs to work on her delivery and work on, not coming off as unhinged, I guess, to the audience. But yeah.
Hold on. I actually want to get other people in here who haven't had a chance to talk yet. I want to hear from Gen Z and Kurgan. Go ahead.
Oh, you lied about our conversation, by the way, after our last conversation, but
that means I could join a panel. Well, panels in general, right? It's a very it's a rough one. Just by the way, I mean, you can host a panel or you can join a panel. It's fine if you do something like that. I think it's better if you're not a content creator. I just don't think panels, like someone did a statistics kind of thing on how much panels benefit content creators. I don't think it actually benefits content creators all that much from what that person measured. I think it was DK, Chalogic's editor, who like pieced together data because they're a data nerd, I guess. But yeah. Yep.
I can address you here later, but keep going. I'm sorry. Me? That was really rude of me. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can get into that later. I just want to jump in because I saw the 3v1 dogpile on Lactoid, so I came to back him up a little bit. But sounds like he's about to leave, so it might just be me.
Oh God, it's the fucking two MAGA lawyers, okay? MAGA lawyer. Oh my God.
But I think we're talking about mind reading in regards to this poll. It's really what's the most reasonable way that people are going to look at it
read their minds,
to take the legal standard of what is a reasonable, prudent person do when a person sits in a jury. When you apply a negligence standard, it is what a reasonable and prudent person would interpret.
Is this a question in court? Wait, is this a question in court, or is it just some YouGov poll?
What is the law if not trying to apply the best, broadest possible standard to all?
You don't give a fuck about the law.
So when we talk about, so if y'all want to actually,
nice obfuscation.
If you want to let me actually get to the point, if we're talking about a poll question, yes, we can, like Lactoid's saying, we can imagine a scenario where the answer is going to be 100%. People will say that that of course there's going to be some scenario where violence is going to be justified. But is that the takeaway to Lactoid?
Hold on. I need to confront someone. Okay. Real quick. Oh no, I can't do it. No, they're in the middle of a show. I can't do it. Right? Like, oh yeah, they're in the middle of a show. Wait. Oh no. Wait, he's offline. Wait, what? Is it offline? They're doing their little fun lawyer show thing. Wait. Is he streaming? No, they're not even streaming. None of them are streaming. Wait, what?
To which point, I don't know what the survey size was for this poll, but is it really that it's all the...
You gotta stop putting someone's intelligence down just because you hate MAGA. Until MAGA puts down their guns, I will not, I'll continue to put down their intelligence, okay? All right.
These people that are just actively imagining this and saying, no, actually, I'm still going to say no, or is it a...
But you're telling me to not be honest, okay? Because my honest thoughts is that conservatives are fucking mentally retarded, okay? Mentally retarded, all right? As in, they lack the level of critical thinking needed in order to operate in a democracy, okay? They lack the level of critical thinking it takes to operate in the day-to-day life, okay? Yeah, sorry. I'm going to continue calling them retarded, okay?
What a reasonable, prudent person would respond to when talking about whether political violence is justified, given current circumstances where we're not, like Wick says, we're not at a point where violence is anywhere near being justified for any political ends. And under that circumstance, yes, we do see this huge disparity where the left and the progressives are much more likely to want to resort to violence.
Question for you, Gen Z.
They just walked around the building.
Just real quick, Gen Z. So you don't think a reasonable or prudent person would answer yes to that question? Because I can, again, a reasonable, prudent person, if I'm asked this question in a poll, someone called up right now and asked, hey, do you think that it's ever okay for a citizen to do political violence or do violence to achieve a political end? My answer would be, yeah, sometimes, but we're not there yet, right? But the answer to that question is assuming you would consider me a reasonable person, like the answer is just yes.
No, I think you're a reasonable person.
Also, wait. No, two things there. To get back to my clarification also of what you mean by violence, right? You have no way to intuit what these people envisioned in their head when they envisioned violence, for one. And also, again, to Wick's point, right? Even in the way that he answered the question wouldn't be allowed in the question being asked, because that is a yes or no question. He gave...
I'll quietly disagree and step out. Being that far and not being able to listen is sad. Good luck. Love you guys. Well, goodbye then. The thing is that I've said this yesterday. When I give commentary, I am not appealing to moderates, okay? On purpose, I am trying to avoid moderates. On purpose, I am trying to, like if you're a moderate and you enjoy my commentary, good for you, okay? But just know that I'm not here to like cater to you, okay? Yeah. Also, like announcing that you're gonna go is hella gay, okay? I mean, the thing is that like, yeah, that's just incredibly gay. If you're gonna go, listen, okay? Just leave quietly. Now I gotta ban you, okay? We can't have that here.
Yes, right? Do you acknowledge that that type of answer is not even accounted for or possible in the question that was asked?
Yeah, it's a
That's
yes
the
or
point
no.
of asking it that way.
Yeah, it's a yes or no question. So when you have to give the yes or no question,
Yeah, but but even you would admit here that there is nuance in answering this question. Yes or no is the worst way to answer a question like that. Do you
if you have
acknowledge
to
that?
start,
not at all.
yes,
No,
if
I
you
think
have
the
to start.
nuance.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't an airport. No need to announce your departure. Yes, exactly.
Lies in which do you
Ben's the
choose?
attorney has
If you
never
had to
objected
pick yes
for a
or
leading
no,
question.
if you had to think of whether or not you actually
It's a
wanted
dog shit
to,
question.
if you had to
It's a
think
dog
of
shit
whether or not you
question.
actually wanted to engage in violence, for instance, or whether you could see yourself being placed in the
You
position
would
of
answer
where
yes
you
to that
had to
question, so I
engage
don't know
in
why the fuck you're like
violence.
talking.
So I don't think that. Yes, but I'm abnormal.
Bro, dude, what is this, like, God, it's like Bosch. Like, who the fuck is this person? Like, this person, I swear to God, this guy's like a parody. Like, he has to be a parody. There's just no way this guy is a real person.
Just a drink.
I don't know,
A
dude.
martini, shaken, not stirred.
Where's the unsubscribe button?
True. The unsubscribe button is, like, right below the video, okay? Good luck. Thank you so much for the $2, Corey. Wait, yeah, like, dude, this guy's, like... Oh my God, I think I would just prefer Vosh over this guy. Jesus Christ.
In that regard. So a lot of people
I think I'm
actually
much.
do
Shut the fuck up,
view,
then.
a lot
Would
of
everyone
people
agree?
view this as like, hey, I don't think that I should engage in violence. I don't want to imagine myself in a position where
Would
I
everyone
was engaging
here-
in violence
Yeah, and
against
yet
the
they would
government. I think
justify
that would be
voting for Trump
terrible.
after
And so
Jansen.
what they
So
do is they
long-winded.
say, no. Passive
Would everyone
dissent
here
existed.
agree? Would everyone here agree? A much better way to word that question would be: in today's America, do you think political violence would be justified?
Yeah, way
I'd be
easier
super
answer. The
interested
answer
in
is
the answer
no
to that.
to that.
It's Temu Vosh, okay? It's fucking Temu Vosh. It's discount sale, garage sale Vosh, okay? Walmart Vosh. Vosh if you ask someone to draw him from memory, okay?
Yes, yeah. I think that the
Yeah.
way that question is worded is very up for interpretation, and I think that it is possible. I'm not going to say that this is what's going on, but I think it's possible that liberals were more likely to answer that question in a way that them thinking about what Wick was saying, where like, yeah, there are situations
Ouch.
sometimes where political
fuck?
violence is justified. They could have been even thinking of like other countries when they were answering that question. Well, you know, political violence in Ukraine or whatever it may be, or Israel, Palestine. So yeah, it's.
But this is why
A lot
this
of
is why
them
I bring it
who
back to
answer
the
yes
point
to that
of-
probably were thinking of Israel-Palestine because we have a lot of free Palestine people engaged in political violence, like the firebombing of the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania.
What I'm saying is that when they answer that question, they might have been thinking about like
This isn't a real
Israel,
accent.
I think that's the
Palestine,
point of the
refuse
like
to
question is what
political
I'm
violence
thinking.
being where the political violence is justified, not necessarily America.
This isn't a real
today.
accent.
Oh, that's my
It's
bad.
just-
All right, so you're thinking in terms of
not a real
location, like
accent.
this is like global, like
Yeah, I think the liberals
Okay.
very well could have been thinking about a whole different scenario than conservatives might have been.
But this
when
is getting
Yeah.
into the mind
No, I
reading
think
game.
it's
That's
part
why
of my
I make the
proof.
point
Oh,
about
that's
what
fine.
would
You're
a
mind
reading,
what would a
Jensen.
reasonable and prudent person apply the most basic, the most common standard in the entire legal system, reasonable
A
prudent
reasonable
person
prudent
standard.
person wouldn't be conservative.
What's the most
so
common legal
it's pretty
standard
easy.
for violence?
Well, no,
What's the most
I would
common
read.
standard
Oh,
for
we
what
can have a
violence
whole
means?
discussion about how we're defining violence because I agree. I think it was Zip that made the point that conservatives don't see violence as being violence. I would make the opposite
Yeah,
point
that's why
that
the answer no.
liberals
No, what
are
I'm
way
saying
too
here.
quick to.
Oh my God, I forgot how insufferable this guy is. Like, look at this guy in his fucking $50 million mansion on top of a hill, okay? Like, being, like, voting for Trump 3 times, by the way. Like, this guy is as solidly MAGA as you can ever be. Voted for Trump 3 times, dressed in a fucking cheesy-ass, gay-ass outfit, okay? Looking like ass, alright? Has a receding hairline, okay? Looks totally retarded, okay, by the way, alright? Fucking doing this from his kitchen as if this is a fucking work meeting, okay? Oh my God, dude, give me a break. This guy, dude, fucking lawyer Andy over here. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, get me out. Dude, this is a person who's never suffered in his life and is probably a Nepo baby, okay? Like, Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm a hater, okay? I'm a hater. This is what I do. I'm a hater, okay?
No,
Say
what I'm
something is
saying
violence
here
when
is
it's not violence at all.
the fact that this is the fact that you are even
I just don't get how like other creators watch panels like these, or they watch like other content creators and they don't get angry like I do. Because like I feel like whenever I watch one of these panels, I get incredibly like upset. Like I get triggered the fuck by these panels, okay? Yeah, I don't know. But hey.
Acknowledging that this is a longer conversation worth having proves
And yet he
how
comes in to defend Lactoid.
Right, exactly. Right. Like it proves how much you can actually read into that one single word in that sentence that makes that sentence.
Didn't feel like she put her heart into it. Okay, I'll do better next time. Okay, I'll listen. I'm just too chill right now. Like honestly, right now I'm just kind of chilling out. Right, I'm just kind of chilling out. Okay.
Or makes that question all but meaningless. It means nothing. As a yes or
I
no,
disagree.
it
I disagree. I think it's reasonable just to look at the question and say,
as if that has anything to do with this, and as if it wouldn't be classified as a leading question.
Yeah, legal standards have to do with like how people participate in culture, dude. It's not just
like
like
a legal
this eldritch
document. Please stop
concept that
appealing
came
to
from
legal
outer fucking
standards.
space.
Well, no,
Where do you think
I
legal
think
standards came from? They come from how we interact with normal people around each other. Like, come on.
There's a reason legal standards exist.
I think that a reasonable person.
This is a poll, not a law, not a jury.
But I think that even still, a reasonable person could read that question.
Oh my god, has this guy bought the same flag I did? Jesus.
And interpret it in a way that would lead to yes, and it being justified to us all. I think they're a reasonable person.
Oh yeah, by the way, rent is not cheap. Okay, speaking of rent is not cheap. Okay, guys, please like the video. Okay, share my channel with your friends. Please hit the sub button. Okay, 60% of people are not subscribed. Actually, that's a pretty high subscriber like account amount number for ratio wise, which means that this is a very enclosed community. Okay, need to outreach more. But anyway, okay, the point is that please consider donating as well. Okay, thank you. Okay. Also, your Streamlabs, your PayPal is not private. Okay. Just so you know, I can see your first and last name. Okay. I know who you are. Okay. I could search up your Facebook, your LinkedIn if I could. Okay. But I choose not to. All right. Because I want to respect people who donate to me. Okay. Yeah.
Especially since they added the word sometimes. Like it sometimes is okay for political violence. Our country is built on that. Like, yeah. I think that yes, a reasonable person could read that and come away with yes.
No, he's
I think
saying
it still
that a
has
reasonable
value
person
in
would have
this
said
regard
that
because
no,
if you're looking at what a
the
reasonable
American
person would do, I think it is loading a lot on these concepts, but I think that's why the poll is valuable to begin with, if that makes sense. Like, okay, what are you thinking of when you hear the word violence? How quick are you to jump to that could be me?
Well,
okay.
I don't care what.
I want to
honestly,
hold on.
I don't.
I want to hear from Kerrigan. He's been waiting some time. Kerrigan, unmute yourself and give us your thoughts, please. Am I saying your name right? Kerrigan with a K.
Yes. Yep. Okay, so I think there's probably two components to this that we just kind of keep glossing over. On the one hand, what people consider to be violence on the left and right are going to be different things. And what they consider to be justification for such violence may be different things as well. For example, would blocking a car in the road be considered political violence to those on the right? That was a question.
So are you asking that to the panel?
Anyone on the right?
A martini, shaken, not stirred.
Moondrip, thank you so much. It's a poop. Thank you so much for 99 cents.
I can answer that, yeah.
To Greg.
Yeah, no, I think it's broadly speaking, yeah. On the very low end, to be clear. I don't think it's the same as punching somebody in the face, but
I'd probably more towards
is that where you're
as far as violence goes.
If somebody were to ask you, are you okay with political violence, would you consider that in your answer?
Yeah.
You would consider.
I'd probably say no.
See, I absolutely would not consider that.
But like blockading a vehicle.
You see right there.
No, I wouldn't consider that political violence.
But isn't that a very common tactic the left uses in when they're what's it called?
Yeah, it can be. I mean,
protests and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, it was also tactics on the right during the trucker.
Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember that guy who shot the Extinction Now protesters, like that were blocking the road? Right? You remember that guy, right?
Self-defense situation,
right? I saw a bunch of people on the right celebrating that. and saying, about time they got him, right?
Yeah, because what happens to the other truckers who got stopped and like got pulled out of their fucking cars during riots and got
right. No, it wasn't a riot. They were simply sitting in the road, blocking traffic, and a guy got out of his car, took a gun, and shot him. Dead.
I was memeing earlier. It's not actually acceptable to.
This is the dankest dungeon.
Yo, Akimoy, Masaki, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs, buddy. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Like, just walk out and shoot somebody.
Well, they did. That's what they did.
Over them.
That's very kind of you. Thanks for donating on Kick, okay? Thank you.
Argentina, wasn't it? That wasn't even
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it was specifically.
But if you want an example of that, I think that the one that happened in Texas that Greg Abbott pardoned, that is an egregious example of both politicians and the guy.
I really like Zip Zip's avatar. Like that is really cute art. I don't know who made this for him. He probably commissioned it, or maybe he had a friend draw it or something. Because I don't think that this is AI. Yeah, it doesn't really look like AI to me. But yeah, it's really cute.
Self doing egregious shit.
The one with
Which
the
case
assault
was that?
rifle?
It seems to be his D&D character, I think.
Yes, the guy ran his car into a crowd in a open carry state. And if you do that, I think you forfeit your right to shoot somebody in self-defense, because at the point where he's pointing his gun at you, he's defending himself.
Oh
and
no,
others.
dude! They were swarming his car. You have the.
They were not. He ran his car into it.
No,
he ran his car into the crowd.
Talk about
Look,
the specific.
Hey,
Hold on.
Druid, DM me.
There's a disagreement in fact.
We will look at this together later.
Link it, please?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
can you
DM
tell
me.
us
We'll
what the
look at
name
this
of
later.
This is a disagreement of fact, not a disagreement of opinion.
Not an
so
OC?
should be
Oh,
just-
okay. Damn. Wait, is there anything else to this panel? Like, this seems like it's just circling the drain, right? I think I've got all my points out that I wanted to say. Otherwise, this isn't a very quality panel, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I didn't really get much out of this, gonna be honest. Okay, Jesus. But you know, I'm probably still gonna release a video on it. Oh wait, you said it was a book character? Oh, I see. So apparently Connor talked about me. Maybe we'll take a look at that. But there's also a new Tectone video as well, so we'll probably also take a look at that. But yeah, there's like multiple things that we can take a look at.